The best. 13 already.
I'll ask you guys share the same future.
They ask to move the camera because they see like only sides. They ask to please ask them to move the camera. They only can see the side.
Like they want her to be center. As you can see, she's right there in the center. Flip the camera over.
The 3 words of blessing. In English, the words mean, praised is the judge of truth. Let us begin our service with wisdom of our tradition. Please repeat these words after me. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. Praised is the judge of truth. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem, Adonai Mivorach. Today we gather to celebrate the life and mourn the passing of Joseph Michael Reme. It was just Shabbat a few weeks ago But Michael was surrounded by his immediate family to celebrate the B'nai Mitzvah of his two grandchildren, Donovan and Evelyn. Although he was resting in a bed with a tube to assist his breath, he was very much present and delighted by the celebration. Planning this day for many months was touch and go. Whether we'd be able to make this happen, we were unsure. We were also blessed to share this incredible moment, and I'm sure God was watching. With baby Camila next to him, the kids chanting Torah to fulfill the act of becoming a bat mitzvah, and Grandpa awaiting for his ultimate call to rest easy. This in Judaism we refer to as the circle of life. And it was so beautiful and is so lucky, and a memory I'm sure the family will cherish for a long time. In your folders, I think everybody has a folder. I'm going to ask everybody who's, oh, it's not here. Okay. We're going to do the 23rd Psalm. For those who know it, please join. Please rise. For those, everybody please rise. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, thy comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Please be seated. So I've received a timeline of Michael's life, and I'm just going to share a bit of his story, and his children will fill in the color, so to speak, to give you much more detail about Joseph Michael Remesnitsky. Yosef was born to Razel and Miron Remesnitsky. He was the younger son and had one older sister, Larissa Klaffer. He started elementary school in 1960, and he entered the Belarusian Polytechnical Institute in 1970, and he graduated in 76 with an MS in engineering. Employed in Minsk Technical Institute as an engineer, Mike won Young Talent Award for Project in Bridge Construction. In January of 1979, he went to St. Petersburg to receive the award in recognition of his talents. Then, in 1978, he married Bella Levy. When he was 24 years old, she fell in love with him when he recited poetry of Boris Kogan. They were engaged after 3 months of dating and married after 3 months of being engaged, and had a baby 9 months after that. The first child born, Yelena Remesnitsky, lived in a communal apartment where they had one private room, but shared kitchen and bathroom with another family. Mike had to wash the linen diapers and give the shots to their baby when she was sick, and nurse her to health. In 1980, arrived to USA during the Moscow Olympic Games, when they were allowing Jews to leave the USSR to rejoin the family in Israel. When they arrived in the USA, Mike, Bella, baby Jackie, Babushka, Dina, and Fira, they were refugees sponsored by the Jewish Family Services in Los Angeles. Articles were published about them in the LA Times, since there were few Russians in Los Angeles at the time. In 1981, he got his first United States of America job in Johnson Control in Department of Nuclear Motors, and worked till 1986 engineering and scientific research in motors of nuclear submarines. In 81, he bought his first house in Granada Hills and had their dog Bim, and spent lots of weekends at the Chuck E. Cheese, which was a walking distance away. Jackie remembers lying on the floor in the living room and watching TV with her dad and mom. By then, more family joined in Los Angeles, and Mike's sister, Laura Valik, and kids Sasha and Eugene. We spent every weekend with them, and that house was burglarized a dozen times. Often while the family was asleep in the home, and they worked really hard to find a way to move. The second child was born, David Remesnitsky, and the parents worked day and night. He got a new job at Rocketdyne Nuclear Airspace, and soon the family moved to Thousand Oaks. The extended family started moving to the United States in the 80s and early 90s, and some came to live with the Remesnitsky family. In 1989, Mike began to develop the medical clinic for his mother-in-law, Diana Capulet, and family soon moved to Beverly Hills. In 1992, Mike moved alone to New York because of financial difficulties. He started working for a law office in New York, but flew back and forth every 2 weeks to see his family. Mike started dating Irina Alessandra, whom he traveled with and enjoyed the theater with for next to 20 years. Mike retired from New York in 2004 and moved to Florida. He invested in real estate and developed some properties. After the real estate crash, he opened up a puppy store with his sister Laura, and his granddaughter Karina was in a commercial for his store. Later, he opened a jewelry store with his sister in Delray Beach. Puppies and jewelry. Sounds very exciting, right? Mike moved back to Los Angeles to live with his daughter Jackie in 2016. They traveled together to the Caribbean, Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, and the UK. Besides traveling, Mike loved animals. He got his grandkids the dog, Lady, and he got his nieces and nephews, Arnold the dog, decades before that. And in his retirement, he had Ellie the dog, Tevye the dog, and a couple of cats as well. If it wasn't for his health, his favorite things were good steak, sushi, antiquing, cocktails, at sunset being the devil's advocate in any argument. So that's just the start, but we need some help to fill in some of the color. I'm going to call upon his children to speak. Who would like to go first? David.
I love my father. It was such fortunate circumstance that I was his son and had the amazing opportunity to have Papa in my life. To me, Papa was not only an incredible father, but best friend. I'm deeply saddened to lose him. A man who was closer to me than any other, a person who I could confide in, whose deeply prophetic advice I so relied on at every critical juncture of my life. More than anything, when I felt most comfortable being around his brother in a conversation or in silence. Papa was an incredible man. He had an otherworldly gift in rhetoric. While some might say this is playing devil's advocate, the truth is, he, more than anyone, knew that every argument and encounter, every view had an opposite. He understood people. He may have been the most empathetic individual I ever met. He could always spell out their motivations and did so with sympathy and understanding. He was my greatest source of advice. In some ways, I think this is what I will miss most about having him in my life. He was a person I could always turn to, and whose opinion I deeply valued, often much more than my own. He could turn the complex into something simple, from a major life event to a day-to-day episode. And more than anything, I always knew his advice was in my best interest. turned to him for advice in my career, my relationships. I'm deeply saddened to know that I won't have to discuss my issues, eagerly awaiting his insights. And there wasn't anything I couldn't tell him, ask him, come to him. Papa taught me about people, his ability to understand people with the stuff of legend. Not only could he fundamentally understand a person after a single conversation, he often knew them in a more profound way than they knew themselves. It was this ability, in combination with his rhetoric, that made him a fundamentally unique man, one who under different circumstances could have achieved anything. I genuinely believe he could have been president had he been born in America and had any inclination for this path. Papa was deeply introspective. Often he would say something that would have me pause in my tracks. Ethereal and poetic at times, you could only listen and know they were to be enjoyed in the moment. Or they could be soul-changing in their nature. Once heard, you were completely metamorphosized by them. I can remember countless debates, ones I was sure I won, only upon awakening the next morning did I realize how profound he was. His arguments are the only ones I could remember. I can no longer even understand my own belief. More than any other person, it is Papa's views that I most specifically identify with. As a parent, he commanded respect. An authority to me, not by title, but by consistently and persistently good parenting. I cannot recall him raising his voice, but he influenced me by his sheer will. He never let me win in chess, instilling in me the desire to overcome. He was committed to my education and taught me history and geography, where he seemed to be an endless repository of knowledge and compelling anecdotes. I remember him driving me to school and going over all the capitals of all the European countries, talking in vivid detail about the complexity of Soviet diplomacy. My highest grade in school came when he forced me to sit and study in a way no one else could, forced this precocious and hyperactive kid. And he instilled confidence in me. His respect for me made me respect myself. Papa was generous. He never, not once, refused me when I needed something. He literally gave me the shirt off his back. And everything he had I wanted. On every visit to him, I would take his clothes. He tried to get me to go shopping with him, but I always wanted what was his more than something new. Though I do remember Papa buying me a suit, way too expensive, much like my first car. Everyone thought he was crazy. How could you spend so much on a kid? But privately with me, he would say that he was living vicariously through me. How much he wished for the niceties he could bestow upon me when he was young but could not yet afford. And yet it took years to appreciate what he was telling me. He loved me and didn't want me to struggle or want for anything. And this deeply affects my perception of parenthood and my desire to give my daughter anything and everything. I remember being the first person in my neighborhood to get a Nintendo 64. Only years later did I learn that he had to stand outside during that New York winter for countless hours so he could get it for me. Papa was fun. It was a joy to be around. I look forward to all of our vacations together. Countless ski trips, travels to Mexico, Jamaica, and Hawaii. He took me to countless shows on Broadway. He loved to go to the movies, even though he spent more time sleeping than actually watching. He loved to crack jokes. He loved chess. He brought life to every room. He was always the life of the party. He was a great storyteller, so captivating. I remember after a failed fishing trip, Papa and I going to a supermarket to buy fish. Then when our guests arrived, he regaled them with our adventures fishing that day. Even though I knew what he did, I knew what we did. Listening to him, I was as enthralled as the guests, at times forgetting that the fish were store-bought. Papa taught me that there are more opinions than people, that truth is in the eye of the beholder, the importance to respect the autonomy and circumstance of others, that peace is always better than war, that family is wealth, that saving is important, but that you can't take it with you and must take time to enjoy things. He taught me life wasn't always fair, in fact, banning the word in the house, teaching me that I was responsible for my own success and happiness. He taught me about relationships. He taught me about myself. Papa, thank you for accepting me as I am, even if you tried to gently nudge me to be a better man. Thank you for shaping me. Thank you for being my confidant, my best friend. Thank you for your countless advice. Thank you for teaching me to be serious about my endeavors. Thank you for reminding me not to always take things so seriously. Thank you for teaching me to be proud of my accomplishments. Thank you for teaching me to laugh at myself. Thank you for never letting me win, but always letting me take my turn back. Thank you for being in my life. I will carry you in my heart forever. I will teach my daughter about the amazing man you are, the limitless potential that is in her just by being related to you. I miss you dearly. I love you, Papa.
I loved my father from the moment I had consciousness, through the last moments of his breath, and my love has not faded, and I do not believe will ever fade despite his passing. Love for a father is biological, but in my case it was easy and true because of a connection through our souls. We have lived through many joys and many struggles together. We changed roles as to who protected whom. The father-daughter lines got crossed many times, but deep connection through our souls would always tie us closely. My father taught me to ride my bike. We learned to ski together. We adventured in Mexico. We antiqued in Solving. He taught me how to haggle when I was 5 in Hawaii. He was my blockbuster movie partner. We loved the same comedies and silly plots, unlike the Power Rangers my brother would choose, or the cerebral films my mother would choose. I was his agent, and he would elect me to choose the movie for the family. A memory that came to mind last night was the company picnics he had at Bakidine. In my memory, it was thousands of people, and we would attend every year. They would have a partner dance contest. My papa and I entered the dance. He spun me and dipped me, and I would see how couple after couple were tapped and asked to be seated. When we were the last 2 couples remaining, our energy and enthusiasm only increased. I felt like a star in his hands, and all the eyes on the 2 of us. We were awarded those first place trophies, and now I have to find that piece of treasure in my attic, something that I had forgotten about until just hours ago. He put up with me as a teenager when I would tell him the most horrific things just to get a rile out of him. He would host me and all my friends in New York when he moved there, taking us to the theater every night and out to eat at his favorite places. He would buy me elaborate gifts, jewelry, and designer purse. He couldn't quite figure out what made me tick, but soon realized that we just enjoyed being near each other. When I went to college, he visited me and was a favorite amongst my friends. His time zone made it perfect for me when I pulled all-nighters. I would call him at 3, 4, or 6 in the morning, and he would sit up with me while I finished an essay. My father would attend every important moment, every graduation, prom, birthday. He would be the person that stood by me at every joy and every hardship. Him trying to navigate my dating life was hilarious. When I was 18, I came to stay with my papa in New York with my boyfriend. He didn't know how to navigate my relationship and awkwardly put us in a room together with 2 beds, one comfortable and one that leaked. By the time he met my now husband, he was more secure in his role. Nathan will have to regale you with the intimidation he faced when meeting my dad himself. He visited me when I did my summer associateship in Seattle, and that was the first time he discovered that I am fun also. I think up until that moment he thought he needed to take care of me and put up with my constant teenage discontent or young adult neediness. That was the moment when he said he really would like to travel me. But like that song, Cat in the Cradle goes, before we had a chance, I was married and had an intense job. So most of our traveling together was either me visiting him in his paradise in Florida, or him visiting me in my many changing cities that my early adult life would take me to. The next chapter for me was all my babies. My dad loved the fact that I was a mom. His opinion that I could never have enough kids, that my kids were perfect, that my joy in having them was his proudest achievement, that he was the best grandpa, and I wish the kids could retain these early memories, where he took them to the ocean, to the pool, to ice cream, where he'd buy a puppy for my son's birthday, or come over and relentlessly pull him to his feet until he needed to get away by walking, essentially forcing my little boy who had been afraid to walk to run. We've traveled together finally after I had kids. Cruises to the Caribbean, Alaska, Hawaii, the best trips for the kids. We went to Mexico and the UK. I remember what a hurry he was in for me to book our Mexico vacation in December 2018. He seemed to think it was the last trip he would go on, and he proved to be right. The following summer, when we were all supposed to go to Israel together for Karina's bat mitzvah, he was too sick to travel, and he didn't vacation with us again. He was prophetic with his passing as well. He told us he was ready to go, but he wanted to wait until after his birthday and after the kids' bar mitzvahs in early November, and he did just that. Many of the people in my adult life remember my father sitting at the kitchen table. He would listen as the 800 or so people would take part in the 5,000 or so gatherings in my house. Kids would run and screech. Some would sit beside my father as a place of refuge away from the chaos. He would crack jokes and look upon all of it. He donated his birthday to Halloween. He allowed me to celebrate him days later because he was unselfish and giving. In fact, my brother reminded me of the story of my father's first Halloween in America, where he was welcomed on his birthday with children in costumes, repeatedly knocking on his door and saying nonsense to him. My father's last 6 years were spent in my home with me. I have so much and so many to be thankful for, and I will give my thanks later today rather than at graveside. I have told many of you that those years gave me an opportunity to leave nothing unsaid or unheard. But the truth is, it wasn't enough, and no amount would ever be. I do find peace in that he was ready and not scared when it was time to go. But when I close my eyes and I see my father at his peak, the fun, the love, the adventure, the intelligence, the warmth, and 69 years is a life cut short. And 43 years for me is still quite a road ahead without a man. Without a man who is 51% of me, according to 23andMe. The stories are endless and priceless, and I want to say them all out loud so they will never be lost. I love my father because he is my father. I love him because he is my friend. I love him because he is my foundation and my biggest supporter. I love him because I was proud of who I came from, a man of strength, love, forgiveness, charisma, and he had always been the most interesting person in any room. The room will forever be empty without him.
In your book, there's a little booklet on page 2, is Psalm 121. We recite together. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, for whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from the time and even forevermore. So there's a few customs that are about to transpire, so I just want to explain before we move forward. The family, the kids, and the nephew are going to put some dirt from Israel on top of the casket. It's traditional in Jewish custom that we say from the earth you came from and the earth you return. So it's customary to too, and your, yep, no, your nephew, the nephew, yes, he's representing his mom, okay. After that, we'll all rise to say the mourner's catch. The casket will be lowered, and I will, God bless you. I'm going to sing the El Malei Rachamim, and then after that, everybody has an opportunity, and it is a blessing and a mitzvah, if you can do it, to shovel dirt onto the lowered casket. 3 shovels, and if you'll notice, it's commonplace to return the shovel back into the dirt backwards, because today is not a normal day. We do things in reverse. It is a sacred way of doing it. So anyone who is capable to do that, it's a mitzvah. So right now I'm just going to pour some dirt, and you're just going to lie it on the top of the casket. The casket is a simple wooden box. It's really not meant to be more ornate than that. If everyone can find the prayer, the mourner's Kaddish, in their books, we'll wait for the family to get back. Please rise. Make sure everybody has the prayer. Yitgadal, Yitkadas, Shemei Rabon. Yama divratu te v'yamich malchute, v'chayachon u'vyomechon u'v'chay d'kol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yemru amen. V'hei shmat rabba mevarech olam omei almaya. Yitberach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalel v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha brichu. Ve'elam milchol brachata v'shirata tushmechata v'nechemata da'imiran yoma v'yemru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru amen. Oseh shalom b'malma hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru amen. Please remain standing. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein b'mromim, Amsei menucha nechuna, Tachat kenafei hashchina. במעלות קידושים ודחורים כזוהר, הרקיע מזכרים את נשמת יוסף בן מירם, שהלך לעולמו. Gan Eden Tehei Menuchato Ana Be'ol HaRachamim Hastarehu B'Seiter Kenafecha Le'olamim Utzor b'tzuror hachayamim et nishmato Adonai hu nechalato ve'yanoach b'shalom amishkavo v'nomar It takes a moment. dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May my soul be bound up in the bonds of life eternal. Send comfort, Adonai, to those who mourn. Grant strength to those who burden in sorrow. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
After the lid is put on the casket, the family will go first, and then everybody else who is welcome to have an opportunity to conclude the service with putting dirt on the casket.
У него что-то улетает в ножку.
Once the family is done, everybody is
Я не знаю, просто потом... Он тут не пойдет. Бомжаные семьи. Спрятал.
You have a good job again.
Yeah, I was put to work.
This is your new career. Hope not.
Not too far off from my current career. Yeah, of course, no problem.
Thank you. It's nice. And happiness and sadness, you know.
Jack and David gave great speeches.
Yeah.
Very tugging at the heartstrings.
Yeah. It's nice to see so much support, you know.
Brave diggers will do
You guys are very good at building community. So they're here for you.
I credit my wife.
So I just did a funeral here, and it was down, and it was like 100 degrees over there. There was no shade.
Oh
It
my
wasn't.
God.
This is like freezing, and there it was like,
I know it's quite different.
and they had no flowers. I said, "Oh, these flowers."
May the next one split the difference and not be so soon.
There's
It's a whole new chapter in my business that I do not want to do.
Yeah. It's part of life. Do you want us to keep going, or do you want me to shut it down?
After that, it's
yeah. I don't know. We'll just leave it going. Is there other people on there?
17?
Yeah, it's-
And it's been consistent 17 and 18, so we've all been watching.
This is not my real. One day.
I know. I saw the pictures. Just the fact that you just did that, like it is your wheelhouse. Like you totally belong here, right?
Well, what? I totally belong here. I know. Just kidding.
Yes.
Good,
All
good
of
eye,
us
good eye.
at some point. Yeah.
3 shovels if you can. You could do 1 shovel. But 3 shovels is the. There's no more.
No, I know. I just thinking.
Oh, this is who I just did. That was fun. Well, so then it had the prayers inside.
I know. That's all right.
If you want me to do it, yeah, you do it. I do a lot of doodling. If you want me to do it, we can do it.
Oh, no.
I phoned 3 rabbis this weekend, making sure I had my tuchus in the right order, and
So I can take my some tissues.
I have them in the car. You want me to go there? Yeah, I'll go there. I'll go there. I'm not going.
Есть, да?
Да. Я смотрела фотографию, да, я не помню, ну, у нас мужчина был, женщина.
Я когда был,
Ты сам.
я когда был молодой, красивый, тоже
Руками. Вообще-то мужчина лопатку делает.
с годами
Женщины тоже. Да? Потому что у нас мужчина тоже, но там немножко покарше, женщина руками. Но здесь вот это вообще компромисс, не ортодоксальный.
мы делали вот то, что когда был
Руками? Аптеки у вас
Oh,
Liam,
good. Mom, we're live.
just lost 10 subscribers because your back was there.
Здесь еще холодно. Днем жарко. А?
It's food.
Семейный, 32. Когда мы здесь жили. Но никогда здесь жили. Да, и потом
How was
Наш кушали, да? Мы были она была 92. На Индию. Мама? Да? На Индию. А ты не старшая. Ну, так, ярко. Потому что она была так веселая женщина. Сегодня моя дочка. Да. И все так. Люди, которые знают, что еще час нормально, уже все, не забывают, видите. Каждый день мы говорим. И Майкл тоже. У нас он был такой же самый, important person. Yeah. Да, строит. Он там, я здесь, я не тот. Сейчас. Да, я тоже. Сейчас невестка начинает работать. И вместе это экзамен. Если дают это экзамен, 3 раза уже passed. Реми? Да, слоечка. Ну, дети сейчас здесь. Да, нет. Работает, хорошо работает.
Overlooking the mountains.
На Павловс. Я тоже с ней работаю. Там. Да, хорошо.
I'm in New York.
Мы же здесь, мы здесь. Вчера были у меня дома. Да, вчера его папа, он был у меня дома. Нет, там живет. Там живет. Жена есть, 2 дочери. Ну, у нас как друг. Очень. Не любим его очень. Да. Вчера они были дома. Юрьевичу? Вчера так, что-то он говорили, так, а тот муж, я люблю его, он всегда респект делал мне. Они развод делали, это их дело, да, все. Да. Холодно. Я
So this is the conclusion. After we finish shoveling, there will be a Shiva dinner to follow immediately at a restaurant called Barin, B-A-R-I-N. You might want to take a note. B-A-R-I-N. 6020 Reseda Boulevard. The family welcomes you there to join, and for those who have a memory to share, Jackie wanted you to know that when you were there, we'll do a lot of telling some fun stories on the night. So thank you so much for making your way here, and again, B-A-R-I-N, 6020 Reseda Boulevard. Thank you.
Hey guys, I think we're gonna wrap up the live stream. Thanks for watching. Feel free to chat, and Jackie and David can see any of your messages later. Thanks guys.
Thank you so much.
So who are you? What are you?